House reporter Blanche now joins us from Brussels for a wrap-up of the 6th EU-AU Summit, which sought to deliberate on Africa's relations with the rest of the world. Good evening, Blanche. Blanche, good evening.
Good evening.
Blanche, we've heard from the ambassador on that massive investment package to benefit Namibia's industry. Can you please take us through some of the other resolutions that were passed?
Well, the joint declaration between the African Union and the European Union, as Ambassador Kapanda Girnos just mentioned, comprises, or the declarations are 6 that the leaders have agreed to. She mentioned some of them. So now the other is, in addition to the investments that would see Africa also claiming its stake when it comes to infrastructure development, when it comes to value addition of products, when it comes to skills transfer, as well as access to vaccines. Just before I mention the resolutions, Elagwa, I should mention that even today, the Director General of WHO mentioned 5 African countries. These are now Egypt, Senegal, South Africa, Kenya, so that they would be given or be assisted with technology to start producing COVID-19 vaccines. So these are some of the calls that African leaders, including the Namibian President Geingob, went into that summit hall with, to say that we need to start leveling the partnerships. We need to start leveling the playing field when it comes to partnerships, and then also just to change the way of doing things so that Africa is not at the end of investments, or Africa will have to scramble for the least of what the world has to offer when it can be an equal partner when it comes to investments. The leaders also, during the 2 days, spoke about a reciprocal partnership for migration and mobility for citizens. That's now European citizens and Africans. Now, Elago, you know, when it comes to migration, because of some parts of Africa being marred by conflicts and all the other socio-economic challenges, we as Africans find ourselves migrating to this part of the continent, or to Europe generally, and some people perishing in the Mediterranean Sea. And this is much to the dismay of the African leaders that said that there needs to be platforms to address all aspects of migration and mobility in line with national competencies and an integrated, comprehensive and balanced manner, so that no one is left worse off and embarrassed in this case. So the African countries as well as the European countries will have to come up with their integrated plans so that this issue can be addressed. So these are just some of the discussions that took place in addition now to the economic sectoral investments that the leaders have agreed to scale up resilient economic development.
Thank you, Blanche, for that explanation. Now, the summit came in the midst of tensions in Europe. Was there any mention of these tensions at all?
Well, in the joint declaration, there isn't, but on the margins of the summit itself, whereby the different leaders met, the European leaders did express that the parties at the forefront, that's now Ukraine, Russia, and as well as their allies, or respective allies in this case, are addressing the diplomatic efforts are starting to bear fruit, but then patience is required. And so and what is happening in Europe can easily spill over to Africa and the rest of the world. So I'm sure that these are some of the discussions that the African leaders were having with their European counterparts. You know, as our Vice President, I think this week during the COVID update day in Namibia said that war or tensions in one part of the world would not benefit any other part of the world. So, yeah.
Thank you, Blanche. Thank you very much for that update.
Welcome, Elago. Thank you so much.
Well, that was State House correspondent Blanche speaking to us from Brussels, giving us an update on the 6th EU-AU Summit.